In the picturesque coastal town of Harborview, where the scent of sea salt mingled with the aroma of gourmet cuisine, 36-year-old Olivia Prescott stood at the helm of her dream restaurant, Salt and Sage. Known for her innovative fusion of local seafood and international flavors, Olivia had worked tirelessly to establish herself as one of the rising stars in the culinary world. Her dedication had paid off, earning Salt and Sage a coveted Michelin star just 2 years after opening. Olivia's husband, 38-year-old Marcus Prescott, had been her rock throughout her journey to culinary fame. A successful real estate agent, Marcus had supported Olivia's ambitions, even using his connections to secure the prime waterfront location for Salt and Sage. To the outside world, the Prescotts were the perfect power couple, balancing successful careers with a seemingly ideal marriage. However, beneath the surface, cracks had begun to form in their relationship. Olivia's long hours at the restaurant and constant pursuit of culinary perfection left little time for her marriage. Marcus, while outwardly supportive, felt increasingly neglected and resentful of always coming second to Olivia's career. The catalyst for the events that would shake Harborview to its core arrived in the form of 29-year-old Ethan Holloway. A rising star in his own right, Ethan had trained under some of the best chefs in New York City before deciding to open his own restaurant in a smaller, less competitive market. With his rugged good looks, charm, and undeniable talent in the kitchen, Ethan quickly became the talk of Harborview. Olivia first met Ethan at a local farmers market, where they both frequented to source fresh, local ingredients. Their shared passion for food and innovative cooking techniques sparked an immediate connection. What started as friendly shop talk soon evolved into something more intense. Ethan's youthful energy and fresh perspective reignited Olivia's passion for cooking in a way she hadn't felt in years. As Ethan's new restaurant, Ember, began to take shape just a few blocks away from Salt and Sage, Olivia found herself spending more and more time with him under the guise of mentorship. Late nights discussing menu ideas and experimenting with new flavor combinations blurred the lines between professional collaboration and personal attraction. Marcus, initially supportive of Olivia's mentorship role, began to grow suspicious of the amount of time she was spending with Ethan. He noticed subtle changes in Olivia, a new spark in her eye, a spring in her step that he hadn't seen in years. His attempts to reconnect with his wife were met with distraction and vague excuses about work commitments. One evening, as Olivia prepared to leave for another late-night planning session with Ethan, Marcus confronted her. He told her, "I feel like I'm losing you, Olivia. This restaurant, this obsession with perfection, it's consuming you. And now, with Ethan in the picture, I barely recognize you anymore." Olivia, caught off guard by Marcus's raw emotion, tried to reassure him. She said, "Marcus, you're overreacting. Ethan is just a colleague, a mentee. What we have is purely professional. Let's sit here." But even as the words left her lips, Olivia knew she was lying, to Marcus and to herself. The guilt of her growing feelings for Ethan gnawed at her, but she pushed it aside, telling herself that her connection with Ethan was necessary for her continued success and growth as a chef. As Olivia left the house that night, leaving a frustrated and hurt Marcus behind, she had no idea that her actions were setting in motion a chain of events that would lead to betrayal, violence, and ultimately, tragedy. The once peaceful culinary scene of Harborview was about to be torn apart by ambition, jealousy, and forbidden desire. As summer turned to fall in Harborview, the tension between Olivia and Marcus continued to grow. Their conversations became stilted, filled with unspoken accusations and simmering resentment. Marcus threw himself into his work, taking on more clients and spending long hours at the office, while Olivia found solace in the familiar chaos of her kitchen and the increasingly frequent company of Ethan. Ember's grand opening was set for October, and Olivia had been spending almost every free moment helping Ethan prepare. The night before the opening, as they put the finishing touches on the menu, the spark between them finally ignited. In the dim light of Ember's kitchen, Surrounded by the intoxicating aromas of their latest creations, Olivia and Ethan shared a passionate kiss. Overwhelmed by guilt but unable to deny her feelings, Olivia pulled away. She told Ethan, "We can't do this. I'm married. This isn't right." But Ethan, his eyes blazing with intensity, replied, "Tell me you don't feel this connection, Olivia. What we have, it's rare, in the kitchen and out of it." Torn between her loyalty to Marcus and her undeniable attraction to Ethan, Olivia made a decision that would alter the course of all their lives. She chose to pursue her feelings for Ethan, justifying it as a necessary step for her personal and professional growth. The affair began in earnest, with Olivia and Ethan stealing moments together whenever they could. Late-night tastings turned into passionate encounters in the walk-in freezer. Quick meetings to discuss recipes became afternoons spent tangled in the sheets of Ethan's loft apartment above Ember. As Ember's popularity grew, threatening Salt and Sage's position as Harborview's premier dining destination, Olivia found herself caught in a web of professional rivalry and personal desire. She began sharing insider information about her restaurant's special dishes and techniques with Ethan, convinced that their collaboration would push both of them to new heights of culinary excellence. Marcus, meanwhile, was not as oblivious as Olivia had hoped. He noticed the subtle changes in his wife's behavior, the secretive phone calls, the unexplained absences, the way she seemed to light up whenever Ethan's name was mentioned. His suspicions grew, eating away at him day by day. One evening, unable to bear the uncertainty any longer, Marcus decided to surprise Olivia at Salt and Sage. As he approached the restaurant after closing time, he saw a light on in the kitchen. Through the window, he witnessed a scene that confirmed his worst fears. Olivia and Ethan locked in an intimate embrace, oblivious to the world around them. Devastated and enraged, Marcus stormed into the kitchen. He shouted, "So this is what mentorship looks like? How long has this been going on, Olivia?" Olivia, startled and ashamed, struggled to find words. She stammered, "Marcus, it's not what you think. We were just—" But Marcus cut her off, his voice cold with fury. He spat, "Save it! I've been a fool, haven't I? Supporting you, believing in you, while you threw everything we built together away for this." Ethan, attempting to defuse the situation, stepped forward. He said, "Mr. Prescott, I think we all need to calm down," and before he could finish, Marcus's fist connected with Ethan's jaw, sending the younger man stumbling backward into a rack of pots and pans. The resulting crash echoed through the empty restaurant, a cacophonous underscore to the destruction of Olivia and Marcus's marriage. As Marcus stormed out, leaving a shocked Olivia and a dazed Ethan behind, the true ramifications of their actions began to sink in. The once peaceful, culinary scene of Harborview was about to become a battleground, with Salt and Sage and Ember at the center of a storm that would leave no one unscathed. In the days following the confrontation, Harborview buzzed with gossip. The tight-knit community of restaurateurs and food enthusiasts couldn't help but notice the sudden chill between Olivia and Marcus, and rumors of Ethan's involvement spread like wildfire. Olivia found herself caught in a maelstrom of personal and professional turmoil. Marcus, hurt and humiliated, channeled his pain into a vicious campaign against both Salt and Sage and Ember. He used his real estate connections to pressure suppliers, making it difficult for both restaurants to source their premium ingredients. Anonymous negative reviews began appearing online, causing a dip in reservations for both establishments. Olivia, realizing the severity of the situation, tried to reach out to Marcus. She called him, pleading, "Marcus, please, we need to talk about this. What you're doing, it's not just hurting me, it's affecting our staff, our livelihood." But Marcus remained unmoved. He coldly replied, "You should have thought about that before you decided to throw everything away for your boy toy chef." The line went dead, leaving Olivia feeling more alone than ever. As the pressure mounted, cracks began to show in Olivia and Ethan's relationship. The passion that had once felt liberating now felt suffocating under the weight of guilt and public scrutiny. Ethan, younger and less established, began to resent the damage to his fledgling reputation. He questioned Olivia about her conversations with Marcus, paranoia creeping into his voice. One evening, after a particularly stressful service plagued by equipment malfunctions that Ethan suspected were Marcus's doing, he confronted Olivia. "Are you sure you haven't told Marcus anything about our plans, about the new menu we're developing?" he demanded. Olivia, exhausted and at her wits' end, snapped back. "Of course not. How can you even ask me that? I've risked everything for this. For us." The argument escalated, with both chefs hurling accusations and insults. In a moment of anger, Ethan shouted, "Maybe Marcus was right. Maybe you do use people until they're no longer useful to you." Stung by his words, Olivia retaliated. "And maybe you're just a talented cook who needed my name and experience to be taken seriously in this town." As their relationship deteriorated, so did the quality of their work. Both Salt and Sage and Ember began to suffer. Dishes were sent back, reviews became mixed, and the once bustling restaurants saw more and more empty tables. Meanwhile, Marcus's vendetta took a darker turn. Fueled by alcohol and bitterness, he began stalking Olivia and Ethan, watching their every move. He hired a private investigator to dig into Ethan's past, desperate to find something, anything, that could destroy the man who had ruined his life. The investigator's findings exceeded Marcus's wildest expectations. Ethan, it turned out, had a history of affairs with his mentors and superiors in New York. More damning still, there were allegations of financial impropriety, accusations of embezzlement from his previous restaurant that had been quietly settled out of court. Armed with this information, Marcus saw an opportunity for the ultimate revenge. He anonymously sent the evidence to local food critics and influencers, ensuring that Ethan's past would become very public knowledge. The fallout was immediate and severe. Ember's investors pulled out, leaving Ethan scrambling to keep the restaurant afloat. Olivia, horrified by the revelations about Ethan's past, felt her world crumbling around her. In a final desperate attempt to save her reputation and her restaurant, Olivia made a decision that would have fatal consequences. She reached out to Marcus, hoping to make amends and put an end to the destructive cycle they were all trapped in. She left a voicemail on his phone, her voice trembling with emotion. "Marcus, it's me. We need to talk. Really talk. Meet me at Salt and Sage tonight after closing. Please, I think I know how we can fix this." As Olivia waited in the darkened restaurant that night, she had no way of knowing that her message had set in motion a confrontation that would change everything. The stage was set for a final, tragic act in the drama that had engulfed Harborview's culinary scene. As the clock struck midnight, the kitchen of Salt and Sage became the stage for the final act of this culinary tragedy. Olivia paced nervously, rehearsing what she would say to Marcus. She had prepared his favorite dish, a peace offering and a reminder of happier times. The sound of the back door opening made Olivia's heart race. But instead of Marcus, it was Ethan who entered the kitchen, his face a mask of desperation and anger. "I got your message," Ethan said, his voice tight with accusation. "You're meeting Marcus here? Planning to throw me under the bus to save yourself?" Olivia, taken aback, tried to explain. "Ethan, that's not what this is. I'm trying to fix things, to stop this madness before it destroys us all." Their argument escalated quickly, voices rising as years of ambition, jealousy, and resentment poured out. Neither of them noticed Marcus slip in through the front door, drawn by the sounds of their heated exchange. Marcus watched from the shadows as Olivia and Ethan's confrontation reached a boiling point. He saw Ethan grab Olivia's arm roughly, heard him shout, "You used me! You're no better than the rest of them!" In that moment, something in Marcus snapped. All the pain, the humiliation, the anger of the past months coalesced into a burning rage. He grabbed a heavy cast-iron skillet from a nearby counter and rushed forward. "Get your hands off her!" Marcus roared. Before anyone could react, the skillet connected with the side of Ethan's head with a sickening thud. Ethan crumpled to the floor, blood pooling rapidly around him. Olivia screamed, the sound piercing the sudden, terrible silence. She rushed to Ethan's side, frantically checking for signs of life, but it was too late. The promising young chef's ambitions, along with his life, had been extinguished in a single, violent moment. Marcus stood frozen, the skillet slipping from his grasp and clattering to the floor. The magnitude of what he had done washed over him in waves of horror and disbelief. Olivia, her hands shaking and covered in Ethan's blood, looked up at her husband. "Marcus," she whispered, her voice barely audible, "what have you done?" The wail of approaching sirens cut through the night, someone having heard the commotion and called the police. In those final moments before their world completely unraveled, Olivia and Marcus shared a look of profound sorrow and regret. Everything they had built, everything they had dreamed of, lay shattered around them like the broken pieces of their marriage. The events of that night sent shockwaves through Harbor View. The arrest of Marcus Prescott, the death of rising star chef Ethan Holloway, and the downfall of culinary darling Olivia Prescott became the scandal of the decade. In the ensuing trial, the sordid details of the affair, the professional rivalries, and the escalating campaign of revenge were laid bare for all to see. Marcus, claiming temporary insanity, was sentenced to 20 years in prison for manslaughter. Olivia, though not charged criminally, found herself ostracized by the community she had once called home. Salt and Sage and Ember, the restaurants that had once been the pride of Harbor View, stood empty and dark, silent monuments to ambition gone awry and passions left unchecked. Olivia, her culinary dreams in tatters, left Harbor View shortly after the trial. Some said she had gone abroad, seeking anonymity and a chance to rebuild her life far from the scene of her greatest triumphs and most terrible mistakes. As for Harbor View itself, the town gradually recovered from the scandal, but the vibrant culinary scene that had once been its claim to fame never quite regained its former glory. The taste of success, it seemed, had been forever tainted by the bitter flavors of betrayal, jealousy, and regret. The tragic tale of Olivia, Marcus, and Ethan became a cautionary story whispered in culinary schools and restaurant kitchens. It served as a stark reminder that even in the world of fine dining, where presentation is everything, it's what lies beneath the surface that truly matters. In the end, their story proved that no amount of culinary skill could mask the bitter taste of destroyed lives and shattered dreams.